You have been warned. This entire episode is a giant trap. That's right, this episode of Tokyo Ghoul decides to go down the Mrs. Doubtfire route, where our main characters are going to dress in drag. And it's exactly as awkward and hilarious as you can possibly imagine, and what I think is funny enough is that some of them kind of clean up pretty well. Like, frickin' Sasaki looks pretty convincing as a female, as does Toru, and at this point I honestly have to admit, is Toru male or female? It's kind of hard to say, especially with some of the scenes that are presented in this episode. Of course, Shirazu looks nothing like a female and looks absolutely terrifying with his freaking great white shark teeth. And then there's Psycho, who just is a weird, freaky, crazy girl who has a pretty big debut in this episode right here. We've seen her previously, but this one really solidified her leech of a character, and I'm not sure what to make of her quite yet, if she's only going to be there for comedic value or not. All I know is I'm very interested. We also have Uri, who doesn't get involved in the gender bender shenanigans in this episode, mostly because he's recovering from his surgery, and of course his ultimate determination to be better than everyone. But he still is a humble character, still being remembered of a moment where he ran into Arima and actually got his respect. So he still is looking out to work with his teammates, but he still wants to be recognized by the absolute top dogs of the series. That being said, the first half of this episode was deceptively simple, just a lot of goofy scenes with Psycho just demonstrating that she's just an absolute sponge of the group. Like, she's just there to absorb money and play video games and do nothing and contribute nothing. But then right after that, tons of stuff just starts happening. They start bringing in the next big arc of the series. Tons of classic characters return. Tons of new characters return. And this is the first episode that, honestly, I'm starting to understand what you guys are saying in the comment section about you have to read the manga. Because I am losing complete track of all of the characters they keep rapidly introducing and all of the old ones that they keep returning. I mean, there's a couple of Anteiku characters who return in this episode. Ayato is here. Eto is here. There's the crazy guy in the prison that Kaneki is talking to and trying to see if maybe that has something to do with releasing his true personality. There's a old friend of Kaneki's that's still looking for him. Not to mention there's the brand new Nutcracker character who's connected to all of these other characters. Even Tsukiyama returns in this episode. Yeah, Tsukiyama, the crazy over-the-top gourmet, returns, and he's not doing too good. And it's not just because he's completely frail and weakened and bedridden, but he's just, you know, looking at Kaneki's underpants and smelling them. Yeah. That scene happens in this episode, and it's just a little strange. That one photographer, Chie Hori, is actually trying to bring the old Tsukiyama back with the power of Kaneki's underpants, which, you know, Tsukiyama's kind of a weird guy, so that honestly kind of makes sense. We also get to see the return of fan favorite Suzuya Juzo, who has a completely new look in this series with black hair, which I'm not really gelling with. He does, just like the other characters in the show, though, clean up pretty well when he dresses up as a chick, but he also seems a lot more subdued in the series. A little less, what's the word I'm looking for? Eccentric? Like, he's always been kind of a weird character, but he just seems like he's on his more best behavior in this series right here. It almost seems like someone completely different, and I had to, like, double take. I'm like, is that Juzo? That's Juzo. Juzo's back, and he's weird and crazy. This episode, though, is mostly a build-up to the next arc of the series, which is going to be this underground auction, where all these ghouls come together and they sell off bodies, body parts, and all types of things that ghouls love to eat. And this is what the Nutcracker is doing. Not only is she crushing the nuts of everyone she encounters, but she's also selling off people, in particular females, to the highest bidder. And a lot of underground Aogiri members and other ghouls are going to be coming to this big event, and this is where the Ghoul Investigation Squad is going to go in, and they're going to basically try to just stake out the place and maybe even start a big confrontation trying to take a couple of people down. And the build-up to that in this episode is great because they go through a couple of montage sequences of the characters training and working together, and then we get like a final moment of the episode which has some fantastic music where we get to see all types of characters just preparing for this big event. And even though I don't remember half of them or really even know what their deal is, the imagery combined with the music and the atmosphere just sent a huge chill down my spine and got me so excited for the rest of the series. So what's the rundown on this episode of Tokyo Ghoul? I think I am going to have to start reading the manga if I really want to appreciate this show. Every single time I stubbornly go into an episode and I'm like, I'm going to understand what's going on and I'm going to have no confusion, I end up just getting more confused. Maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit, but it just seems like there's a lot of things which are missing from this story. And I'm just going to get to the elephant in the room. How come we didn't get to see what happened when Kaneki met with Toka again? Like, we don't even get to see the next scene after that. They completely avoid all of that and don't even bring it up. And you know what? I'm kind of annoyed by that. I really wanted to see what was going to come of that scene. There was even no mention of it in this episode. I guess we can just assume that they had some coffee left and that was about it. Although, like when he met his friend in the previous episode, it's very obvious that he probably knows who that is, and he's still having some inner conflict with what his entire deal is with his other half, being Ken Kaneki. And that's still, I think, one of the better elements of this show right here. That and the fact that he realizes that he lives in a dog-eat-dog world. He even says it himself, that those who get things taken from them are weak. I guess the only way to get over that is to be the one who does the taking. It's pretty hardcore stuff, but like I said, there's just so many little plot threads and characters and mysterious characters, most of which who have masks and everything, that makes it kind of confusing for non-manga readers, which I definitely am. So maybe I am going to have to start checking that out. I can't promise I'm going to do it immediately, but I am going to continue to watch Tokyo Ghoul Re, as I'm still actually getting some enjoyment out of it, a lot more than the previous seasons of the show. And I cannot wait to see where it's ultimately going to be heading and how it's going to disappoint me this time. I only kid. Like I said, I might have to check out the manga. What I will say is, this was a pretty good episode right here, and a lot of big stuff is going down, and it was a pretty huge build-up to the next arc. So I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. Even with some of the confusing elements and new characters and the return of old ones, it's just insane. It's a visual overload, but I'll be damned if it's not fun to watch, and it's just bleeding with atmosphere, especially that final scene of this episode with everybody preparing for the auction. Just, whew, spine-chilling stuff. I really loved it. So that's my thoughts on the episode. I'd love to hear yours. Make sure to tell me in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay damn down, baby.